Well, at least I'm not arrogant to my fans.
I'm not arrogant. I'm...
So, hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Blue Banana Podcast.
Hello.
Where we are not eating bananas and Manu is eating watermelon. Right on brand.
Disgraceful.
Watermelon in the banana. In case you don't know, like, this is the sign, it's the international sign that it's summer in Japan. Suika bars.
It's an international sign that I'm hungry.
Also that.
Where did you get that ice cream from? Ice
I
block?
got this at the convenience store that
You got it at
made
the
its
convenience
name all the honor by being very convenient and having this ice cream. I'm actually trying to not eat it as much as I used to. Last year, I genuinely almost had this once a day. It doesn't have a lot of sugar, but it accumulates when you eat one every day. So I'm going way less sugar this year. But today was an exception because it's burning outside and I just came back from a run where I almost died because it was so hot.
Sounds like quite the favorable transaction, I would say.
Did you buy this from a person or was it, I don't know how advanced the supermarkets or the convenience stores in Japan are?
Oh no, I stole this.
You stole
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
Okay.
Manu
actually,
doesn't
so-
buy things.
I was waiting in front of a store and this old lady came out with the ice cream and she looked really happy to have it, so I got really mad and stole it from her.
You stole it from her. Did the shopkeeper or did the shop worker stop you or try to stop you at any point?
People in Japan are so polite. They held the lady back while I stole everything. They held her arms behind. Yeah, so like I could get everything. Yeah,
Wow.
no. Japan is so helpful.
And in that case, would you say that that is good customer service?
Best customer service.
Took a long time to get here, but we got there.
Wow, I almost feel like you were trying to push this conversation. into
That was a
certain
detour. You could have just said, yes, I did buy the ice cream from the store.
And yes, I had a great experience purchasing it.
We've added more to the Manu canon of being a horrible, horrible person.
Yeah, a horrible person. I was actually shouting that I hate Disney while I was stealing the ice cream from the grandma.
I hate old women. I hate Disney.
Hate
I
love,
hate love.
love Satan.
I'm going to eat.
But I love Suika bar.
Gonna eat ice blocks by myself and be sad. But you did make an interesting point there, which is Japan, like people in Japan are extremely polite.
I thought you said easy to rob, because that would be true.
That would also be true.
Well, I just proved it with this old lady.
Oh,
Okay, we're sticking with that
this.
story. Are we all right?
All right, okay. I thought we had moved
keep
on.
Alright,
digging,
let's move
Manu,
on.
keep digging.
Yeah.
I like to. Sometimes I do like digging. Grave digging, one of my favorite hobbies, as we have by now established, I think.
Yep.
Grave robbing as well, maybe.
Japan has very good customer service, I would say.
Great.
Oh, you say
This is going so smoothly.
Yes, it is. You guys are helping out so much.
I'm trying.
Are you really? Are you though?
Every now and then I'm just like, yep, back here. And then Manu's like, yeah, I'm gonna rob some more old ladies tomorrow for some more ice cream.
For more ice cream. Dude, it's a
Go
business.
grave digging
Maybe,
tomorrow.
dude, if there's enough ice cream wielding old ladies, maybe I can hire the shop clerk.
Great use of the word wielding there. I love that.
Wielding ice cream.
Ice cream, dual wielding ice cream, old ladies. That's my character selection.
And we make a business out of it. We scale it, we go international. No, German customer service is terrible. I can say with most Germans probably agreeing. And that's just because most German people are horrible people, as should be clear. We're notorious.
example A.
We're notorious for being the country. You know how in every single country, no matter what culture, when you ask someone how you doing, how was your day, the only acceptable answer is good. What about you? Except Germany, where if you ask someone how you doing, it's a very legit answer to go like, or it's actually weird if you say good. It's kind of normal to start complaining about whatever. And so if you work in customer service, normally people just feel like, just because I'm serving you and I'm supposed to give customer service, I think I'm better than you. You better show respect to me, which is kind of,
I can respect
think.
that.
I think I'd prefer to work in Germany in that case.
Yeah.
I've been on both ends. I've
mean,
worked
yeah.
in beer gardens before, for example. So I have been on both ends of the counter, you could say.
Sounds hot.
Sounds, what was that,
I
Liam?
said sounds hot. Both ends of the counter, yeah.
Fair enough. Going very smoothly this episode. I mean, in that case, if you say that you did have experience working like at a bar, wouldn't you say that sometimes you just want a genuine response, or like sometimes you don't want to have to ask how you're going? Or is it even something that you still ask in Germany? If people aren't doing it for, you know, just general niceties, do people bother still saying how you're going?
I think it depends probably what setting it is. It's different from a supermarket, for example, if you're like in a restaurant or something. I would say I see both ends of the spectrum. Because what I really like about Japan here is that everything is really well oiled. And you can still be like, people still appreciate it if you're polite and you smile and you say thank you, which is not super common here, I would say. Most people just like do silent transactions, basically.
Oh, I love the sound of that, ironically.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair enough, but like everything is so well oiled and everyone knows their lines, basically. So you can just go into a store and kind of pretend, or like a lot of people just pretend, I feel like, that people who work in stores are just robots or part of the store that are not real human beings. It's kind of that vibe. But you can, like, I know people still appreciate it. For example, if I go somewhere and like you just talk to them or like smile or say good morning, people appreciate that. I really like that from the customer perspective. I like that I can just go into a store here. I know I don't have to have a small talk, which in Germany, the chance is really a coin flip whether you're gonna have to do small talk or not. Also, there's a not that low chance that you'll have a bad encounter where like someone's just super rude or just literally doesn't give a fuck.
As in the person serving you?
Yeah, oh yeah. Like complaining about customer service happens quite frequently just because you have a very rude waiter or like the cashier just like doesn't give a shit and it's just a dick on purpose. So that's something that happens regularly, I would say, in Germany.
I can imagine the comments already. Everyone's gonna be wanting to move to Germany to work in Germany. Not to be served, but just to work. Liam, you said you'd prefer silent transactions.
Oh, yeah. As an introvert, I hate it when people start small talk with me. If I don't know you, just don't talk to me. It terrifies me. Don't do it. I am very awkward. I just give money, give product, go. That's my jam. You know what's particularly bad? My absolute worst nightmare is when you're taking an Uber and you get a really talkative driver because you are stuck in this moving tomb, basically, where you just have to keep talking to this person about mundane things. And I'm just like,
Why don't you just put in headphones? I feel like that usually works pretty well.
Usually, but it doesn't always.
But what if you don't have headphones?
I mean, I always have headphones, but like...
Me too.
I'm too awkward to do that as well because I don't want to feel rude in this like journey that still has 15 to 20 minutes left or something. It's like, oh no, it kills the atmosphere. Like, it makes me feel like more of a dick than I believe I am. The atmosphere, Manu. The atmosphere of the Uber drive.
Right, that's
I'm
important.
the complete opposite to you guys because when I get in Ubers, I try to gauge the interest of my Uber driver, and if they feel like they want to talk, then I will continue the conversation. But then if I get the vibe that they would like to just have a silent journey, then I'll just shut up. And I'll just, go along with whatever.
May I pose the idea that you're a lovely person and the two of us are not? I think is what that comes down to.
I would like to slightly modify this. I'm definitely a worse person than Sophie, but I would say I'm slightly better than you, Liam. because for me, it really depends on the day and like the situation I'm in. Because genuinely, I do like having, like, for example, today I went out for lunch and like I just started a conversation with this elderly Japanese man over lunch, and we were just talking about German and Japanese beer brewing techniques, which was fun. I like it. Yeah. So
Sounds
it depends.
awful.
But then there's days where you just don't want to talk.
365 of them.
That is for me.
Every leap year, an extra one.
We're doing such a good job on this podcast. It's amazing that Liam is here with us at all.
Do you want to know, like, I said my worst nightmare was an Uber trip. I actually think my worst nightmare is going to be the first
Uber
time
trips.
Oh my god, back to back.
On the way there and the way back.
And it's the same driver.
Oh.
So how was your trip?
That has happened before. I've like taken an Uber somewhere to like pick something up, and then I've had to go back like within about a half an hour turnaround, and I've gotten the same driver and I've been absolutely mortified. I do not want that.
I want to see you once in my life and only once.
You've made me suffer once. That once time was enough.
My worst nightmare still has yet to come true, and like I kind of hope it never does, because my worst nightmare is the eventual situation where I run into a fan of mine at, I don't know, some public event, and they talk to me and I am awkward because I don't like people and I come off as a dick, and then they post on Reddit like, oh, Grand Line Reviews are cunt, and then
Arrogant asshole.
Yeah. His videos are fake. His persona that he presents online is fake.
Yeah, I'm just not good at talking to people I don't know. As soon as someone notices me, it's going to be the most awkward conversation in the world.
I'm surprised that it hasn't happened already. I was really convinced that that night when we went to watch Jujutsu Kaisen, for sure I thought it was going to happen because we went on the premiere night as well. So, you know, people who were hardcore fans, hardcore anime fans would have been there one night. And behind us were One Piece
Oh yeah, they were talking about
people
Film
very
Red
excited
in,
about
like,
One Piece. Yeah,
very
Film Red.
bro-ish tones. Like, oh bro,
Yeah.
can't wait for Film Red, bro. What about Shanks?
What about Shanks, bro? He looks real red today, mate.
I don't know why I did a Kiwi accent. They weren't. They did not have that.
That was Korg. That was basically Korg from Ragnarok, wasn't it?
It's just what I fell into, but it was hilarious, like casual One Piece chat.
My favorite accent in the world, by the way.
I think it's not that unusual because it was Jujutsu Kaisen, so not everyone going is going to be a fan of One Piece. Also, my Australian audience still isn't that big. It's only like 4 to 5%.
But it's still Sydney, right? It's not like you're living somewhere in Perth or something.
Oh, heavens no. Perth. Good gracious. You offend me, sir.
We don't talk about Perth on this.
We try not to.
Not even a part of Australia.
It may as well not be. I am legitimately closer to New Zealand right now than I am Perth.
Yeah, that's very true.
Physically and intellectually.
There was a period last year when Perth had closed its borders to us Sydney-siders and
every
Melbourne-siders,
siders, yeah.
anyone in sort of East Coast, whereas internationally we were being accepted to go travel.
To be fair, arguably they probably did a good job there, but let's not go into that.
Yeah, we'll stick clear. We'll steer clear of the COVID talk. But going back to Uber, I actually think that you guys bring up a really good point because I actually feel for Uber drivers so much. You guys might be sort of on the rarer side where you prefer not to talk, but I feel like there's this real expectation that Uber drivers aren't only there to provide a driving service, but they really are there to like provide you this amazing customer service. Like, I don't know what sort of experiences you guys might have had. I've been in Ubers where people have water bottles
Yeah.
ready to give me, where they have gum and like mints. And the first time that I was offered one, I thought it was really bizarre and I was like, are they spiked? You know, I'm not gonna risk this because that's a really weird thing to offer. And then I just found out that it's just something that people do to get better reviews.
Because you need the 5 stars. If you get rated anything lower than 5 stars, that puts your Uber career in jeopardy.
And that's a really weird expectation to have, I think.
I still, as a girl, probably wouldn't take candy from my Uber driver.
I mean, no, I don't.
Ooh, candy.
And something else that I really feel for Uber drivers is it's sort of like, it's as if for that brief, I don't know, 10, 30-minute drive that you guys are sharing with them, it's almost as if you're allowed to treat your car, like their car, as your own. Like, roll the window down when you feel like
Yeah.
it, roll
Choose
the
the
window back up
radio
when you feel
station,
like it.
etc.
Exactly. Yeah, ask them to change the radio station, and it's a lot to demand.
To be fair, you could do that with taxis as well, but it's a similar sort of thing. It's basically like staying in a mobile hotel with your own waiter, I suppose, your own hotel staff member, which is not a good thing, by the way. I'm not saying that's how it should be. I'm saying that sometimes is how it feels, and it makes me deeply uncomfortable. I don't want to be in the same box as another person anyway, let alone someone who feels like they need to serve me.
Sophie feels different. She blossoms.
Neil.
More mints!
Sophie wants to be the person who the Uber drivers are scared of. It's her.
There was one time that I was actually genuinely a bit creeped out during an Uber drive because I caught an Uber home. It was like after a night out and it was pretty late. And at the end of my trip, as I was getting off, the Uber driver decided to tell me, by the way, I think you're really pretty.
That's a weird thing
But
to
the
do.
thing is, it's a weird thing to do, but at the same time, I do want to give him credit. Like,
I am
could
really
see
pretty.
he meant it in very genuine,
He was not wrong.
like non-creepy
I
way.
thought about it. And he had
I was
a
only
point.
speaking the truth.
I went home, I looked in the mirror and I thought, yeah, Sophie,
You are pretty.
You are pretty.
And then I gave him 5 stars.
What I mean is, I don't think he meant it in a creepy way. Like, I don't think he meant to be creepy. And I think the reason why he left that statement until the end of the trip when I was getting off was so that I wouldn't be uncomfortable for that whole ride home. And I suppose in his mind, it was just something nice that he wanted to share.
Did he say it in a flirty way or?
No, it was like, it was in a very just genuine way. It wasn't in like a, I'm trying to hit on you or something. Well, maybe I just didn't read the social
Probably.
cues. Maybe he was. But it didn't come off in that way.
I think you have a tendency to assume the best of people.
I mean, maybe, but I don't know. It really didn't feel... I can usually tell if someone's just trying to, you know, take a crack, but it seemed like he was just being very genuine. But at the same time, all I could think about was, holy shit, this guy knows where I live.
Did you just say take a crack?
Yes.
Is that a legit? Is that an
that-
Australian?
Yeah, sort of
expression?
like, yeah, take a shot, have you go, etc.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. It's like
Have a
okay.
punt.
Yeah.
It's like you pick one.
Have a crack.
I don't know. Like, interestingly enough, I've never had too many Uber experiences. Back when I was still living in Germany, there is Uber, but I usually would just take the bike everywhere just because I really enjoyed biking. And here in Tokyo, there is no Uber. There's Uber Eats, but you have to take a cab here.
Also, there's like no rideshare services.
Is that just because of like the stranglehold that the taxi industry has?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. But I suppose taxis would be a similar experience, right? It's just without apps, or even tabs, like cabs. I was gonna say taxis and cabs, and then I said tabs. Taxis.
Taxis.
Cabsies. Yeah.
Even taxis have apps these days where you can
They do, yeah.
call and pre-arrange. Yeah.
I remember back in the days when I was like going to the airport, I would need to book a taxi like the night before to show up at my house in the morning. The Stone Age
The
practically.
Stone Ages, indeed.
I mean, I still do that sometimes if I need to get a lift to the airport via an Uber, because if it's like an early morning ride, I want to make sure that someone's going to be able to get my
So
call.
I'm kind of curious, how is it in Australia, like, since the two of you seem to be taking a lot of Uber? Because in Europe, I feel like taking Uber is kind of like roulette. Like, as you say, sometimes you get a really nice car and like a nice driver and it's very professional and, as you said, like good service. And sometimes it's just like you get a really bizarre person with a really bizarre car. Where you feel like bad things have happened in this car before.
The cars are fairly standardized. Like, there is a certain standard of car you need to be accepted as an Uber driver, so I've never had an issue there. I would say pretty good in my experience. I would also say that I am a white male, and most of my experiences with most people end up being pretty good, just by default. So I'm not sure if I'm the best person to ask about the Uber roulette. The thing I hate most, which is the biggest first world problem, is just people talking to me.
Liam, if history has taught us anything, it's
How
that
fucking
white
dare.
white heterosexual men usually should be the one who should call the shots for everyone else. I think history has shown that
This is weird.
that works fantastic.
Mine just keeps digging.
You've started a new grave. Manu means that as a joke, just in case anyone's going to take that out of context. Is
that not obvious?
Sometimes I think you do need to point these things out.
All right. Maybe that's actually a good point. I wonder because I think I never use sarcasm in my videos, but I'm genuinely 90% of my communication in person is sarcastic. So maybe I
I've
should
noticed,
point it out
yes.
more often. Have you noticed? Yeah. I think most
Yes.
people can tell, but there's surely some. Maybe you're right. Maybe I should point this out more often.
I'm gonna have to have Red like put big letters joke every time Manu speaks. This is a joke.
You need to stop saying such clippable things.
Honestly, it's just assume it's sarcasm when I say something. And like 10% of the case it's serious, you'll probably notice.
In real life, do you also use sarcasm when you're talking to people who work in customer service? Because I used to
Only
work
if I
at
hate
a
them.
pharmacy, and people used to use sarcasm, and it's really annoying. Like
In a
as someone,
pharmacy?
just trying to go about your day, and I'm just serving them at the cashier, just checking out their stuff, and sometimes you'll ask a standard question, maybe even if it is just how are you going, and they're like how do you think I'm going? Or I remember sometimes okay, to be fair, I can understand the frustration that obviously in Australia, and I suppose in many countries, there is still a very hegemonic religion that still has its vestiges on society. So a lot of the public holidays that we celebrate are traditionally Christian holidays. But that being said, because I was Christmas period, for the week leading up to Christmas, every customer I served, just to be in a friendly mood, I'd just say, happy Christmas, or happy holidays. And some people really feel the need to just be like, I don't celebrate Christmas in a really deadpan voice.
It's because they're probably sick of hearing it from every store they go to. You've got people wishing you a Merry Christmas. You've got the Mariah Carey on in the background.
Or maybe
all I
they're
want
just
for
cunts.
Christmas. Maybe. That's probable in Australia.
That
yes.
one is not sarcasm.
That one was good
That's
catch.
part of the 10%.
Good catch there. Good catch.
If you're a person who doesn't celebrate Christmas, I imagine that December and probably even half of November is just exhausting and infuriating and annoying.
It's just don't be that person. I feel like I feel like you don't have to tell everyone Merry Christmas or whatever all the time. But if someone says it to you, just take it. It's
Take that Merry Christmas. You bad customer.
It's also just like, I can understand that you'd just be very sick of it. I mean, as someone who's not religious, I mean, I get very sick of all the Christmas festivities at times. You know, I really disliked hearing all the Mariah Careys playing at my pharmacy where I had to work for 8 hours a day. So if anyone's sick of it, it's me.
Yeah.
Good thing you were at the pharmacy. You had a lot of medicine to get rid of that nausea then.
Yeah, just popping pills out.
Every time All I Want for Christmas comes on, it's just your cue to pop another pill.
Just popping up some pills like, I'm good now. Like it.
But I just think you're making yourself an unhappier person if you hold on to that hatred and you feel the need to spread it to other people.
Yes, agreed.
The people I have the least respect for is people who know that you're supposed to do something as a member of a store or as a salesperson. For example, say, like, you know, write down the name at Starbucks if you work at Starbucks, and you have to ask them for their name. And you're the type of customer who then starts yelling at the you know, the person at the cash register that you don't want to share your fucking name and whatever. And I'm like, well, you know this is just a store policy. Why are you yelling at this poor person?
You knew what you were getting yourself into when you walked into Starbucks.
Literally.
Yeah,
Come
just
on.
give a fake
Exactly.
name. Just give a fake
Yeah.
name.
Or it's like all these videos that have been going around with COVID of like people throwing a tantrum because they're supposed to wear a mask
Because they're
somewhere.
getting like ejected from stores and stuff.
And then, and then it's like, why are you yelling at the salesperson when they're not clearly not the person
poor
who's making the
retail
policy?
people, yeah.
It's to the point that I went through a PCR testing site recently, and they had signs up that said like something along the lines of aggression is never okay, or violence is never okay, because it got so bad at these testing centers where people who were being tested for COVID, so a lot of those people probably would have been infected, were just harassing frontline workers who were just trying to help out with the situation. And I find that just so appalling that we needed to get a sign up that said, like, that was warning people and reminding people it's not okay.
So that's the funny thing about signs. They never get put up with premonition type thought. It's always in response to something that has happened.
It's always fun where there's like, sometimes you see like really fun and obscure signs at certain places and you're like, there's a story behind this. It's like, and I would like to hear it. I kind of want to get to the point in my life where at least once I want like one store to put up a sign because of something.
Because of you?
Yeah.
No gaijin.
No guy, no more foreigners. Yeah. Ouch.
We'll have a banner up on the Blue Banana podcast that says, "Don't take Manu serious."
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
And that'll be our sign. Manu is just sarcastic.
Big red warning sign with some
Yeah.
lights as well.
That would probably be very good.
Please don't cancel Manu.
That we light up every time Manu says something sarcastically. Just to make sure.
I'm actually having a hard time on Twitter because I always have so many like snark tweets that I want to do, like sarcastic tweets, and I'm like, people are just not
Oh,
gonna.
sarcasm does not work on Twitter.
Does
ever.
not work on Twitter. Sometimes I feel like I've seen tweets. I think most people would get it, but then there's like the 30% that don't.
30% is a lot of percent,
It
though.
is, dude. It is
Yeah,
a
that's
lot
a
of.
big
Yeah,
percentage.
absolutely.
So speaking of people not understanding things on Twitter, I recently posted what I considered to be a not hilarious post, but, you know, kind of joke-worthy, I suppose. It has to do with, at the time of this recording, the most recent chapter of The One Piece, which is a series that we all know and enjoy. And there was a change in the Emperor system. Have both of you seen this tweet, or should I show it to you?
I don't
Please
think I've
show.
seen the tweet, but I think I might know what you're talking about because I think I mentioned it in my chapter review.
I'm sending it to you guys now. We've had a big power shift in world. The four emperors are now these four characters who were showcased randomly on this volume. And so I did a bit of a sneaky tweet and I made a pun and I said, "The foreshadowing is off the charts," referring to this and the new emperors. One of the responses I got is, I'm not going to say who the user is, but speaking of people, the 30% who cannot take jokes. It goes a little something like this. Now that Oda foreshadowed, it's a good scenario. Come on, what is idiocy? Like this stupid The Canario is so boring, not funny, and kill all interest in the stupid shit he's making and you this best anime/manga. But I guess you are more right because you have thousands of followers. The second part is accurate. But thoughts on the first part.
I feel like that had strong slam poetry vibes, to be honest.
Although I think that has to be attributed to Liam's reading of it more than
Liam's
anything.
performance.
Yeah, the
I liked
performance,
it.
yes.
It had a very artsy style.
And there was also one person who called all One Piece fans idiots because they can't spell foreshadowing. Not quite realizing that there was a pun there, because I spelt it as in the number 4 shadowing, because it's the 4 emperors and the fucking Twitter. I hate it. I hate it so much.
Well, you say you hate Twitter, and yet you decided not to kill off Twitter and you killed off Reddit instead.
I hate Reddit more.
Me too. Like, for some reason, I feel like because I got so much shit on Reddit, for some reason the universe decided to balance it out because I barely get stupid stuff on Twitter, surprisingly.
Unless it's me responding in your
Yeah,
Twitter post.
usually if things go bad on Twitter for me, it's usually because Liam
It's my
starts
fault,
beef
yeah.
under my tweet.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about Twitter. It turns me into such a horrible person. This platform is made to transform people into horrendous Liams.
I was digging very obvious graves this podcast and that podcast and the podcast before, but Liam is digging a very passive grave of him being a terrible person. very subtly.
Just step by step, each week he just enters a new Twitter feud.
I don't think there has been a single week where I haven't clapped back at someone who I think has said something stupid on Twitter. Like,
That's
I try
gonna
to
be tough.
control
That's gonna be
myself.
tough because that's 50% what Twitter consists of.
If I'm in the wrong mood, then yeah, my productivity goes downhill. Let's say that. What's with the walrus that's replaced Manu?
Did you end up having 2 of the watermelon ice blocks?
Yeah, because the old lady was dual wielding them.
Exactly,
true,
dual
that is
wielding.
very true. I
I
forgot
tried
about
to
that.
split it right in the middle and actually managed to do it perfectly for some reason. So I celebrated.
That's a very odd skill that you have, Manu.
With a very particular set of skills.
Oh, so kawaii. Okay, alright. There's only so much that our viewers can take, Manu.
Kawaii des, indeed.
Kawaii-ness.
Well, speaking of Japanese words, I have a fun Japanese fact to share with you guys. Going back to the idea of customer service. Now, I'm going to try saying this, a Japanese fact and a German fact. I'm quite surprised that you said earlier that Germans are known for extremely terrible customer service.
At least in Germany they are. I'm not sure on the international scale.
Right, okay. I don't know how that makes sense, but sure, okay.
No, I think I'm just saying me as a German, I might be biased towards my own country.
Right. Okay.
Against,
All right.
apparently.
Well, against in that case, I guess.
All right, well, we'll see. But I'm sure you guys are both familiar with the saying that the customer is always right.
Hi.
Is always right. Yes. All right, I see what you did there, Liam. Well, apparently in Germany, you guys have a different way of saying it.
Oh,
where
the
it's
customer's king.
yeah, the customer is king, and then in Japan, it's the customer is God.
I haven't heard
The
that,
customer is God.
I learnt the German word for king this morning, actually, accidentally speaking to a friend of mine. Her phone auto-corrected to, what is it, König?
but König.
König?
König.
Yeah. The customer is König.
The Kunde is König.
Dann würde ich sagen, machen wir den Podcast jetzt einfach auf Deutsch, würde ich sagen. Klingt gut.
Oh,
Okay, all right, we lost
Na gut, was steht als nächstes auf der Liste?
we have no idea what politically incorrect things you're saying, so stop.
Yeah.
Just saying, what's the next item on the list? That was just
Oh, very good.
Oh, okay. Was that you rudely demanding us progressing the podcast?
kindly taking over. The Germans are taking over once again. This time the blue banana.
It's my hosting session. It's my episode.
All right,
I
I'm
asked the question,
sorry.
what's next?
Ooh, so harsh. I like it.
You go.
But I do find it interesting that you said that, you don't think that Germans are very good at customer service, considering you think, I mean, people in Germany believe that customers are king, not just that they're right, they're kings.
Yeah, I mean, we have that saying, but maybe we just have that saying because people forget it so often.
Do you say it in like an ironic way? Like, oh, the customer, my liege, oh.
Honestly, probably, yeah. I think a lot of people take it that way, probably. What, you think you're better than me?
Your Majesty.
I don't know. I'm curious to hear what other Germans in the comment think and what other countries think. For example, I'm curious, like, how's customer service in Australia? Does it often happen that you go and, like, get into a fight with like a cashier or something.
God. I would say customer service here is pretty good to average. If a
Yeah,
fight
I'd say
happens, it's
average.
because of the customer, like never because of the service person.
Really?
Please do share your fight stories, Sophie.
I don't have fights.
I have victories.
I only win. It doesn't.
You've dethroned so many kings.
Yeah, they call me King God.
Kingslayer.
I think before we established that, I'm a lovely person. So I'm not someone who fights.
Because everyone who can
with...
say the contrary is dead now.
Now I have.
The winners get to write history. I see how it
Yeah,
is.
indeed.
Okay, well, I will share my experience and you guys can tell me what you would do in this situation.
Okay.
I bought a can of condensed milk at a local supermarket.
I would not have done that.
I think it's your fault.
You have something against condensed milk? No. You guys are interrupting way too early. I haven't posed the question yet. What did I say about my episode? I'm king.
You told us to say what we would do, and I would not have bought condensed milk.
Okay, well, hold off that
I
question
think
until the
only
end.
bad people.
Shh. You guys, this is not order in the king's room.
The king's room.
I think Hitler had condensed milk once. I read that in a book.
Correlation? Causation.
Probably causation, I'm pretty sure.
That's good for Hitler and all, but I didn't actually get to eat my condensed milk, and I'll share you guys why. And I'll share with you guys why, if you guys could just shut up for 1 minute. I buy condensed milk. It was the last can of condensed milk on the shelf. Shelf was quite high. I had to go through some effort to retrieve can of condensed milk. I may have put my dignity aside and when no one was looking, climbed onto the lower shelf and picked it up because that's how desperate I was for just to indulge myself that evening. I walk home that long 10 minutes, ready to make my dessert, to eat that sweet, delicious condensed milk, only to find, as I've finished pouring half of the can, that it expired 2 years ago.
Wow.
2 years ago. Not like, we're not talking a couple months.
Everyone was in the same predicament as you. They were like, how are we gonna get up there? And I think everyone before you was like, actually, you know what? It's good. It's fine.
Not worth it.
Yeah, not worth it.
Sophie, question. This does go to you. You don't check the use by date on your dairy products before you buy them?
If it's something that's not supposed to be long life, like fresh milk or, fresh cheese or something, I will check. But in general, I don't spend a lot of time looking at the best before dates, no.
I don't think this was worth getting into a fight over.
I didn't get into a fight. You guys, again, rudely interrupted me, did not let me finish my story.
That's where I thought this was going because you were like, oh, speaking of getting into fights, what would you guys have done?
No. I was just trying to answer Manu's question about how good the customer service is in Australia. So, resuming story. Took a photo of the can with the expiry date. Chucked out the can, and the next time that I was in that local supermarket, I just told the person at the cashier, hey, I just want you guys to know that you guys have some expired product on your shelf. And it's not just, by a couple of months, it's by a whole 2 years, just out of the friendliness of my heart, because people could get sued over this. Like, you can get in real trouble, from consumer law and all that if they have expired products and people get sick from it. So all I was trying to do, I never asked, can I have a refund? Can I get this product exchanged? All I was just saying was I think you guys should know this. The cashier was just beside himself, didn't know what to do, and just went, okay, I'll call the manager. And I was like, okay, there wasn't really any need for that. I just wanted to let you know. But sure, call the manager. So I tell the manager, and without an expression on his face and without any sort of apology, no sort of, concern or genuine emotion on his part, just asks, so what? Do you want me to replace your can? And I didn't even know what to respond to that. So I think I just went, no, I just wanted to let you know, and just walked out of the store. And I have to sadly admit that was not a victory on my end. I felt very much defeated.
I think, once again, this is a situation where you're such an unusually lovely person. Like, the name Joy Girl belongs to no one but you. Because that is probably the first time in that manager's entire career that someone has come up to him with a complaint that is in his best interest to fix, rather than, I demand this refund because of stupid reason number 3006.
Can I share that story from the manager's perspective to you, Sophie?
Sure.
Ooh, parallel narrative.
We're role-playing here.
Can I be the cashier?
Sure.
Yeah, you let me know when that part happens, yeah.
Now.
Oh, am I calling you?
Yeah.
Bring, bring.
No. They won't. Why? You think the manager drove from his house to deal with this? If the manager had to come all the way from where he was to deal with this, then I'd understand the problem.
What was the calling mechanism? Was it a microphone? Was it?
Liam, I didn't want to actually like create a scene. I just wanted to like narrate his
Oh,
point of view.
no, too late.
But we said roleplay. I want you to explain this to me from, the role as a manager. I want you to embody the manager.
All right, let's do it. Okay, you have a microphone probably.
Yeah, it was through a microphone.
I am currently shitting myself because a customer has a problem.
Also, you have like pimples and you're like, you're like 19 or something. Like, you're still stuck in high school for some reason because you had to repeat a class.
The shirt is like too big for me as well because they don't have uniforms that fit and
Just into it like a little like tissue that's still in your pocket in the restroom of the. So get into the role.
soiling myself as I say this to you. Sir, we have a problem. Can you get down here quickly?
All right. What is?
Please, I can't handle this.
Yeah.
I'm out of my depth.
Anyways, this is how the role playing it because now we have like inner dialogue, right? And so basically, what
soliloquy.
the store manager at this point thinks is like, great, we have another one of these people who are gonna be like, oh, the label was on the wrong side of the milk carton, and now I want a total refund for the milk and whatever. And as Liam said, that person probably in his entire life, like every day, there's like 5 people who complain about shit and want their money back or want everything for free or whatever. And so probably when the guy told him like, sir, I'm sorry, but I don't know why he sounds like Morty.
Oh, jeez, Rick.
Jeez, man.
There's a problem with the condensed milk, Rick.
There's a lady here, small scary-looking Asian lady, who's a lawyer, who said that the condensed milk.
She's gonna sue us, Rick. We're fucked.
She said we can get in real legal trouble.
She said she's gonna sue
she's blackmailing us. That dude was just like, whatever. He was like, oh my, like if I was in his position and I'd hear that, I was like, oh no, there's just this person who has nothing better to do than complain about this one can of condensed milk. And now I have to deal with that. And then you're like, I just wanted to let you know. And I'd say exactly the words with the exact same facial expression. I'd be like, don't yell at them. Just be polite. Handle this professionally. Neutral face. So what do you want us to do about this? I would have handled it the same way.
That's the thing, Sophie. You're doing this out of the generosity of your heart, but to that manager, he's expecting you to want something for bringing this up. Like, you have a problem that needs, like, not retribution, like...
I'm going to feed you condensed milk that's expired. Open your mouth.
I also think that, I don't think people usually do that.
You demand
Just say
justice.
that out of the, yeah.
People are not kind. Like, at all, especially at grocery stores. And especially talking to employees at grocery stores. If you're bringing up a problem, it's very minor, and it's probably because you want some form of compensation.
All right. Well, 2 years is not minor. 2 years is a big problem.
Did you actually tell the guy that you might be sued over this?
No, I didn't go. No, I'm not going to use that sort of language.
She's threatening us.
I just wanted to let you guys know if, for example, you had someone who knows the law, get in real legal trouble for this.
I can't afford a lawyer.
But we could settle the issue for $100,000. I think that's a fair price.
I make $9 an hour.
Let's say someone today who bought this can of milk by accident, let's say they know the law, and let's say they decided to file a lawsuit against you with customer service complaint. That could be very, very expensive for you, don't you?
Sophie. Question. Do you remember the tone in which you said this? Because it could have sounded pretty threatening if you said it in the wrong way.
I get that I am the king of this podcast. I will take that title gladly. But are you guys going to really look at me and say that I'm an intimidating, threatening woman? Me, with all 5 feet of me.
If we were in a coliseum, no. If we were in a legal coliseum, yes.
They don't know my academic background. I'm just a little Asian girl who probably doesn't even look 21. I could still pass for high school for all they know. Well, I suppose you guys make a good point, because I don't know if you remember this, Liam. Do you remember when we went to El Jannah together?
Yes.
We went with Red. So El Jannah, Manu, for context, and for everyone else who doesn't live in, I don't know if it exists anywhere else outside of the greater Sydney area.
Pretty much just Sydney, I think.
I think so too. So El Jannah is 11 Lebanese chicken shop who specialize in really not chicken. I'd say their specialty is garlic sauce. They have great garlic sauce.
That is
Great
what they are
chips.
famous for.
Alright.
The chicken's, you know, average, maybe just slightly above average. But garlic sauce, chips,
It's pretty
great.
good.
Pretty good.
Their entire menu is pretty solid compared to their direct competition like a Porto or something.
I would argue
I
that
suppose
given
so.
all not to go on a too big of a tangent of this story here, but
About this restaurant you've never been to and
Yeah.
have only heard
No,
of.
I
just
just-
now.
I just-
Let me give my 2 cents
I
on
just
this.
wanted to
I'm just
say-
gonna embody the manager of El Jana and let you know what I think.
I just wanted to say, because Sophie said chicken is average, slightly above average. I would say the average chicken dish is pretty good already. I think having bad chicken is pretty rare.
Chicken is a pretty easy food to make good.
Yeah, so I would say average is not bad.
That's why I would say it's a little above average, because it's pretty good.
I don't think Manu's someone great to report on how great chicken is, because I think Manu's just a chicken fanatic.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
he can't
you
even
eat raw
wait
chicken.
to eat for
Yeah.
chicken to be cooked, so he'll just like, chicken, fuck yeah!
Dude.
Give it to me!
Dude, I can't tell you how often I've heard that sort of comment over the recent 2 or 3 weeks. All my
You
friends
deserve it.
All my friends, whenever I order chicken somewhere now, it's it's like, are you sure about this? Have you taken precautions? Don't you want to go with something else? We walked by we walked by a farm where they had chickens, and one of my friends was like, "Don't eat it.
Don't
At
eat it,
least put it on the grill." Hilarious. It was kind of hilarious in the moment, but I didn't want to acknowledge that.
You know the best thing about El Jana that's not chicken or garlic dip? It's the fact that they sell you a $3 bag of bread. Like an entire bag of bread. If you went to El Porto, you'd be paying like $5 for a teeny tiny bit of bread.
And I would agree, except that Lebanese bread you can buy at Woolies for like $1.60.
Yeah, but not at a Porto.
That's true. Okay. I mean, I don't think they even sell that type of bread at a Porto. But I'm glad that you brought up that bag of bread, Liam. I don't know if you did it intentionally or not.
Oh yes, I remember this.
Do you remember? So, as part of our meal, we did buy a bag of bread, or that bag of bread came as part of our meal.
You have my interest as a German.
I don't know what you said, so I'm going to continue with the story because I think I've been interrupted enough.
You have my attention as a German because it's about bread now.
I don't think the bread would be as good as
No.
the bread that you get anywhere in Europe.
Anyways,
but
it's just-
anyways,
bread is bread.
It was pretty good. Bread is bread, exactly. Except this wasn't any bread. This was bread with some special extras, we may call it, but not extras in the way you would like. Extras in the sense that there were fruit flies flying around, buzzing around in that bag of bread, but not in a good way.
Nope.
And so, me, again, out of the kindness of my heart, as someone who doesn't even eat the bread because I can't eat gluten, I went up to the counter to ask for new bread. And all I said was, "Hi, this bag of bread has some, flies in it. I think, can we just get a fresh bag of bread?" And the cashier, again, just didn't know what to do with himself. I think he was just like seriously doubting me. Like, what? Like, what do you mean? And I said, I was just saying, I don't think that this bag of bread is fresh.
I don't want to kill the flies.
Yeah, I'd like them to just live and enjoy this bag of bread. I'd like to have a bread for, humans.
I'm
please.
vegetarian. I'd like the
And
non-fly
again,
bread.
he called his manager to deal with this.
Why?
I don't know why, because I don't think I don't know if he was just new or if he didn't believe me. It seemed like he didn't believe what I was saying.
It seems a lot easier to call the manager over than to risk a potential altercation with a customer that could impact your job. I think at that level.
Are we going to seriously say that I would have escalated this
I don't know,
to become
Sophie.
an
This is the
altercation?
second scenario we're hearing about in a row where you have stirred trouble at an establishment.
For your behalf, Liam.
Thank you. I appreciate it. The bread was nice.
How were the flies?
I don't know because we actually got a new bag.
No. I will say I won in the end of that one. I won in the
I
end.
feel like in that second case, I think I would expect, even without calling the manager, that it's just the normal thing to do to replace and apologize. No, did he at least say sorry?
Exactly, that's what I mean. What could I have possibly
You-
gained from that? It's not like I can understand in other situation with the condensed milk, maybe they thought I was gonna ask for money, ask for a refund, even though I had already finished my condensed milk and I was just lying, but all I was just saying was just a simple swap.
You had finished it?
No, I'm saying like they might have thought I had finished it and I was just lying to get a free can.
You would think so, but it's not that simple because in fast food, you are taught to take like no initiative at all. You pretty much have to become a cog in a machine. You cannot go off script. If a problem happens, it's time for the manager because the manager solves all the problems and you just continue doing your very streamlined thing.
All right. I'll accept it.
I think it probably comes from the fact that if you just do the human thing and deal with it normally, like a normal human being
It could
would,
cause problems.
Yeah,
like,
it could.
Fast food
People
have
exploit it.
really weird rules. Like, why did you give the customer a new bag of bread, you moron? Why didn't you call me to handle it? Like, managers in fast food can be particularly shitty. And sometimes it's just easier than, like, risking that situation. Also, Sophie's fucking scary. Have you ever been yelled at by someone, like, from knee height? It's terrifying.
tiny Asian lady making like, I could sue you for this.
When have I've never done that to either of you guys.
Unleash Sophie.
Where's the Liam that said I'm the only one who deserves the title Joy Girl? How can you go from that to that within the span of 30
I've
minutes?
heard some stories about your altercations now, and I'm questioning that.
Okay, well I think I'm gonna have to share another story then.
Where I'm a good person.
But I'm a good person. So I think I have set myself up as a terrible person during this episode, and I want a chance to redeem myself.
I actually think I'm the best person so far this episode. You've both been terrible.
How?
You stole an ice cream from an old lady. Don't say how.
Well, at least I'm not arrogant to my fans.
I'm not arrogant. I'm socially awkward. I like all of
He
you.
hates
I
his
just
fans.
can't talk.
He's a fake persona online.
Just doing it for the money. He only cares
You
about
pick
the
fights.
views.
You
He
pick
only
fights
cares
on
about-
Twitter.
Grand Line Reviews sold out.
Liam, if you were a real one, you'd still be at 10,000 views and like do your tree reviews, the best trees in One Piece.
Mate, if I was sticking to my guns, like what I originally started, my creative vision, I would still be at like 1,000 views a video, I reckon.
Aw, no, Liam.
Do you know what my first
think
video
so.
on YouTube is? Have you watched
What?
my first
What is
video?
it?
One Piece Chapter 1 review, and it's me shouting into a terrible quality microphone for 25 minutes.
Did you start with chapter 1?
Yeah, I thought I just started.
Was that
number
your
one.
plan?
I
was that
didn't
your
have
plan
a plan
to do like 1,
I
2,
was
3,
like,
4, 5, 6?
I legitimately had no idea what I wanted to talk about, so I was like, let's start with that, dude. And let's see where it takes us. I abandoned it very early.
I started with chapter 800 and something. It was during Hawkeye Island, and I was not shouting. It was, hello and welcome to the Grand Line Review. Today we have a review of this chapter. What did we get? And then I just retold the entire chapter because I didn't know how to record a review.
That would be me for 973. 972 or 973.
With your like inbuilt laptop microphone.
Yeah. Terrible, crappy microphone.
So the lesson
And-
is, you can do YouTube as well.
You
Yes,
can.
anyone.
We all came from, I would say, quite humble to terrible beginnings.
Yes,
With our first
absolutely.
videos, especially mine.
Anyways, redeem yourself, Sophie.
I feel like through this episode, I have set up a reputation that I'm someone that likes to complain a lot, and I'm really, really not. I'm actually really the opposite. I actually never really...
Right now you're
It's
complaining
very
about the
red.
Yeah, I was
reputation
about to
you've set
say,
for yourself.
very-
and
No,
I
no, no, no.
hate that
No,
I
no,
did
no,
that,
no,
and I
no,
hate that you
no,
guys pushed
no,
me
no, no.
into the situation
No.
where now I come
It is-
across like
what
someone who
I mean-
complains
what
a
I
lot.
What I mean
I'm
is
actually
that
very
it's
humble.
It is very rare. It is very rare that I complain to like retail staff or hospitality staff. I don't really complain about service, about customer service. It's something, because I worked in customer service and I worked in call centers, and I know that it is a very ungrateful, there are a lot of ungrateful people out there. So,
Welcome, this is McDonald's. How can I help you today?
never in fast food,
No, the McDonald's hotline.
but yeah, okay, fair enough.
How can I fix
But-
your fries today?
How can I fix your fries today? Ooh, that's a different type of call center.
Sorry, Sophie. Proceed.
I don't usually complain, and this is the extent to which I don't complain.
The fingers up.
Last week, we had a public holiday
complain.
I don't complain. You guys listen to me.
Who's saying I'm aggressive? Are you saying I'm aggressive? Say one more time, I'm aggressive.
last week was
Sweet
a
girl
public
mode.
holiday in New South Wales.
Did you see that, Liam? Did you guys see that? She went into
You
sweet
put
girl
yourself
mode.
together. Now, let's stop talking, otherwise she'll fall apart again and destroy us.
True.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. Last week was a public holiday in New South Wales, and so I went on a brunch date with my mother. We paid 10% surcharge because it's a public holiday and that's pretty standard. Didn't feel like there was anything wrong with it. I was super hungry because we went for a walk before brunch, only for the food to come out, and as I was halfway through eating, I found a hair on my plate.
Gasp.
Gas. I didn't complain. I just ate it, but I didn't
ate
eat
the
the
hair?
hair.
Ate
I
the
don't want to. I want to clarify. I didn't eat the hair. I didn't eat the hair.
I was like, I didn't
That's not some
complain.
sort of kink.
I looked
That's
at
not
her.
some sort of kink. I just want to clarify that I'm not the type of person that picks on every detail. I've actually even had food where I've seen a fly in my food and I'll just take the fly out and I'll eat it. Usually I won't actually go ask for bread. I went to ask for new bread because you guys were eating it and I didn't know how comfortable you guys were with the bread. If it was me, I would have just shoot the flies away and said, have a happy life.
I would not
And
have
not
done
eating the
that.
bread because
I will. I will
I'm
be
gluten-
honest,
I'm
Sophie. I'm not
gluten
sure if
intolerant.
that story helped your reputation.
Because on the inside, you're still kind of complaining.
I mean, I think I have a right to complain inside that there was hair. Like, I mean, I think that's a thing to be genuinely, a bit miffed out about.
I agree with you. I think you should be. And I think you should embrace the complaining more instead of like trying to portray yourself as Gandhi.
I never said I was Gandhi.
You were like,
I just said I was
please
Joy Girl."
allow me a story. Allow me a story to state how good I, Sophie, am.
Yes.
Can I just say, in your defense, I have never seen Sophie anything but happy. I have never seen Sophie complain. I've never seen Sophie get angry. I've never seen Sophie get annoyed. I've barely seen Sophie get confused. It's just permanent happy.
Because I would say, for example, my mom's the type of person who usually is 98% of the times extremely happy, positive. But the 2%, the 2 out of 100, she's not. It's the scariest shit ever. So
We call that the condensed milk ratio.
yeah. So I'm wondering if it's the same for you. Because like once you actually get angry, is it scary?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I think, well, not for me. It's very liberating. I feel like it's very cathartic.
I feel like I'm God when I'm angry.
Sophie. Okay, question. What is the angriest you've ever been and why?
I don't remember. Do you guys remember the angriest you've ever been?
Yeah.
Really?
The angriest I've ever been was actually due to customer service, weirdly enough. For this one occasion, I am that customer, the one that all of the call center people hate. When I moved into a place I was renting, this is several years ago now, back where you first met me, Sophie, actually. It was our initial place. When we first moved in, we were supposed to have internet connected on the day. We did not end up getting internet connected for the next month. And pretty much every day during that month, I was on the phone to, I'm just going to name them, Optus. Fuck yeah, Optus.
I don't know who Optus is.
In Australia, you basically have two choices when it comes to internet. There are more, but you basically have Optus or Telstra for coverage reasons. So what they did instead was they sent us a dongle for the month with a generous 10 gigabytes of free data on it, which you blow through pretty quickly. To put you in the right mindset of how upset I was doing YouTube at the time, and due to the place where we moved, which was on a battle axe block, I couldn't use my mobile hotspot because it didn't get reception. Optus again, I was with. Thank you for that. And I couldn't use the dongle to upload videos because it burns through the data so quickly. So what I had to do was I had to walk down to the park, which we've been to, Sophie. I had to sit on a bench with my laptop, with my hotspot, and I had to upload YouTube videos there between like 10 and 11 p.m. Like rain, hail, or not shine because it was always at night. I did that for a solid month. Meanwhile, pretty much every day I'm on the phone just asking. And one day I just fucking lost it at this poor customer service person who did not deserve my shit. And by the end of that call, I basically said, fuck it, cancel everything. I'm going with Telstra, which is equally as bad, but I was just so infuriated that I was just like, I am sick of dealing with this. And I was on the phone with that person for like 2 hours, just being the shittiest human being you've ever met. I get really angry over technology. It needs
I
to
did
work.
remember what my angriest is. but it's not as fun a story, I guess, as yours, or as like kind. Like, sadly, living in Asia, and like as someone who has a bunch of female friends, or like an ex, like either an ex-partner or a close female friend, like whenever like that has happened a couple of times. Either it has happened in their past that like they experienced like some sexual harassment or something like that, or power harassment. That makes me like really, like whenever I hear a story like that, and you can tell that it's like really like shaped someone's life, that makes me incredibly furious, even though I'm not a person who gets angry usually.
I mean, that's more noble anger. I still come off looking like the worst person here, even though my story's more fun.
I think Mana planned it. It was like, I need something to redeem myself to.
You know what makes me angry? Social injustice.
No, genuinely. And I remember once I was with a friend, and she told me like, oh, because like we were having a good time, and she suddenly like started like being weird and like kind of like down, and I was like, what happened? And she's like, oh, like 10 minutes ago when we went in like that department store, like this one dude was like putting his hand under my skirt, and I like, I was like, in a weird way, like I was angry at that dude. Obviously I was angry at myself for not noticing. Then like for a moment, in a weird way, I was like mad at her for not like telling me so I could punch the guy, which obviously I realize is not something, I mean, not angry in the sense that like actually angry, but I was kind of like, like it's this kind of like helpless kind of anger. I'm not sure if you ever felt that. So
yeah, like, why didn't you tell me?
Yeah, like, I mean, it was mostly not directed at, like, I wasn't really angry at her, obviously. It was just like, why didn't you, like...
Yeah, at the situation.
Because I just remember, like, that I was actually, like, that was one of the few times where I was actually, like, fuming, like, actually. Maybe because it was, like, such a helpless situation. Yeah. I think usually, like, in Liam situations, like, the telecommunications, I get that a lot, but I've kind of, like, at some point, I've kind of learned to just be, like, whatever. And I sometimes, if I'm actually, like, I can feel me getting angry, I usually start by the decision you made at the end of that. I'm just like, if I can see it turning into something annoying, I'll just be like, okay guys, I'll just go with someone else. I'm gonna be honest.
Want to know a really terrible lesson I've learned in my old age? Getting angry actually works.
Like, oh, it does. Oh, absolutely.
If you're upset, people do what you want to do quicker than if you just go, yeah, I'm pretty chill, not a problem. And it's really sad because...
people exploit that. If you're too nice, people will take advantage of it.
100%. Like, whether you're the customer or the customer service person, actually just... It's a terrible life lesson, but being too nice can lead to people taking advantage of you.
You can bring it all the way back to YouTube if you want to. There's a bunch of creators who genuinely wanted to be friends and so close to the audience that whenever there was a complaint or something, they would interact with everyone who would have to say something negative, which would once again lead to the predicament that people would know that they could get a reaction out of that person and just, you know, accuse and like post shit for no reason, like, or for the reason to get a reaction. And that would work until like those people would actually, you know, drive their careers against the wall because they couldn't handle it anymore, or because actually like they just like rage out and like actually, you know, like rage against someone at some point because they couldn't take it anymore.
I think that's why I get so fascinated or surprised about people who are rude, whether that be the customer or the person providing customer service, because as unfortunate as it is when it happens online, I feel like it's more, I don't want to say understandable, but almost like anticipated in a way. I mean, that's why we have the term keyboard warriors, right? People who can hide behind a screen, don't have to face up to what they're doing, because, you know, no one actually knows who you are. You can get away with, you know, a lot of crap. And I think that's why it surprises me even more when people do act so horrible in real life.
Yeah, I would say so as well. But I totally agree with Liam. For example, I get terribly uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable going into conflict. Like, I've learned I had to learn to, like, you know, confront people sometimes when it's like it's important to, but it makes, like, I personally prefer to have a good atmosphere. And I mean, you know, but then for example, one of my best friends back in Germany, he's really good at complaining about stuff, like genuinely good. He also, by the way, studying law.
Perfect.
And he gets stuff, like, genuinely, he writes an angry email, and it happened, like, literally, I was trying to get an apartment here in Japan, and they were like, sorry, we can't get you that apartment. And it was like the same apartment basically I had before I got stuck in Germany during COVID, where I couldn't go back to Japan and I had to cancel my contract. And so he was like, do you want me to write the email for you? And I was like, go ahead, because I really wanted my apartment back. He wrote that email. It was very demanding. I would never have been able to write it. And it worked. I got it. They were like, originally they were like, oh, sorry, we can't. Like, we have to do it by order. And he, like, the email was like, oh yeah. I mean, it was true. It was like, oh, well, I kind of had to leave. And I was forced to leave because of COVID and because I couldn't come back to Japan. So, like, you should at least, you know, consider me, and so on and so forth. But it totally worked. If I was writing really kind emails where I was like, hey, wouldn't it be possible, please? Doesn't get you anywhere, sadly.
It's really primal and kind of sad to say, but sometimes you do just need to assert yourself. And I think I've told the two of you this story before, this like non-specific story. There was an instance of a sponsor that had not paid me for several months and was clearly in breach of contract. If I was nice early 20s Liam, where I was just like, yeah, it's not a problem, you get around to it when you can, I probably wouldn't have been paid to this day. But instead, I drafted an incredibly serious email where I more or less threatened to take legal action, and within 4 hours, the money was in my account. It works. It's sad, but it works.
I mean, but I think there's a difference, right? I think there's a difference when you are well within your rights to ask for something that, you know, that was something that was owed to you.
Sophie, doesn't everyone think they're well in their rights from their perspective? Doesn't everyone always think that?
I think people know when they're being little shits. I think a lot of customers know that they are exploiting things just because they know that they can. And I can understand that they might feel that they, you know, are justified in being a dick because they feel angry. But I think deep down people know when they're not actually in the right.
I think people may have conditioned themselves to see people who are serving them as non-human. Like, you're the waiter, you're the... Sophie, again, I think you're too lovely to understand this perspective.
I think there is a bunch of people who probably do have that self-awareness, like maybe you, Sophie, you're aware when you're being a bit of a dick and you're like, I was being a bit of a dick back there. And I think everyone has these moments, but I do genuinely think that in the grand scheme of things, a large majority of people, all of us, our brains just justify our actions all the time for like the worst shit we do. Like, oh yeah, we shouted at that old lady.
But
she was a dick to me. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, even if you know it's wrong, you find a way to justify it. Like, that was a pretty dick thing I did. However, justified because of that. Yeah. F that old lady. I'd shout at her again.
I'll steal her watermelon ice block again.
I'll do it tomorrow again. I'll wait for her on the block. Get her lunch money.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to confront your own actions as a human, and there are a lot of people who would just prefer to find excuses and justification instead.
I mean, it takes a certain amount of self-awareness also that is not easy, like generally not easy to, I guess, produce. Because how often do all of us actually like take a moment to like self-reflect? Probably not that often, right? Except if someone gives us feedback and was like, dude, you were being a dick back then. And if like Liam tells me like, hey, dude, during the podcast you were a real dick, well then I'll probably self-reflect.
We didn't have to bring up last week, Manu, but if you insist.
But you know,
joke. That's a joke.
Liam and I actually had to have a separate meeting without you, Manu, and discuss it. We had to debrief.
All right. But you know what I mean? Like, probably, like, it's much more likely that I'll reflect on what I did in that case when you're being called out for something, other than I just did something and nothing happened. Like, how often are you actually taking a step back and are like, I was kind of being a bit of a dick back then. Not that often, probably.
And I suppose going back to, like, that saying we were talking about, it's almost like because we sort of feed it to people that we're allowed to feel that way because of stupid sayings like the customer is always right.
Yeah, but I think
or like the customer is God.
Would you guys agree that we're kind of living a bit like generationally? I'm not sure, Liam, you might be a bit, maybe also you, because what are your Gen X?
Fuck off, I am a millennial, you.
All right,
my mother is Gen X.
All right. Crap. That was irony, by the way.
We were about to see Liam about 95% towards full anger.
Yeah.
No, my point. Irony, by the way. So my point was, I think we all live like a bit like your generation, Liam, 90s kids, and then also like mine and Sophie's, and younger kids as well, Gen Z and so on and so forth. I think all of us kind of have grown up with this like sense of entitlement, and like it's something that I think all of us as a society have been really growing up with. Like everyone feels entitled, like everyone feels like the world is like revolving around them, and like I'm not taking myself out of that equation. I think absolutely that goes for me as well, and probably for like a lot of people in our generation, where it's kind of like we always feel like we deserve things, other people deserve bad things, right? It's all kind of like I have the right, like I worked hard, so I deserve to be, you know, get that position or whatever.
I don't know, yes and no. I actually also think that generationally speaking, I feel like we are probably the most self-aware and reflective generation, where I actually think that sayings like customers are always right is something that's much more ridiculed in our generation than, say, the Karens of the world.
I agree, and I think we're much more aware of the world around us and how it functions than previous generations were as well. We're just jerking ourselves off generation.
We're the greatest generation.
Like, for example, we're the first generation who has like broken like the stranglehold of like the news media bubble. We're the first one to have this independent voice of the internet spring up and kind of see the world from a perspective that isn't portrayed to us through the common media that, you know, the masses are forced to consume, sort of thing.
Oh, okay. Well, then yes and no as well, because I feel like it comes to, I think that goes to sort of our hubris that we feel that we're able to do that, but then we've fed so much. I mean, we talked about this in our tech episode, you know, like there's so much advertising that goes on social media.
It has broken a shroud that once existed.
Yes.
Like, for example, my mother still believes everything she hears from National 9 News. Like, literally everything.
I would say the truth is probably, as always, somewhere in the middle. There's probably a lot of really good things about our generation where we do have so much more access to information, and probably as a whole, our generation is a lot more educated also on many topics. But at the same time, I do think, because you mentioned Karens, but then again, a lot of our fellow generationalists are the kids of Karens, which, as we know, are the
Karenlets. Karenlings.
So I don't know. Probably the truth is somewhere in the middle, I would say.
I mean, yeah, I don't think either of us were ever stating that our generation is the best 100%. There are absolute dicks within millennials and zoomers for sure. But
3 in the Zoom call right now.
But one of us is Gen X.
And one of us is Gen X. And it's not so...
Well, the two of you want to keep your ages secrets, or you could be.
Well, it could be true.
It's very true. It could be
I could be older than Liam.
You could be. Sometimes you look older than me. Depends on the beard length.
Sure.
No
I'll give that for you, Liam. I'll give. Let's sure.
Whatever helps you see
I'll let you have that one.
You youngins need to learn to show some respect.
Spoken like a true boomer.
I've gone up a generation.
It's not my fault that you're saying stuff like that. I will say, though, that Manu, you do look much younger without your beard.
I think this is a good point to end the episode because my camera literally died.
And before you do that, Sophie, do you just want to say something to end it?
Yes, all right. Let's say support the podcast. Make sure to subscribe. Consider becoming a member to support us as well, but your subscription and you watching it is enough. Also, we have a highlights channel. Check that out too. And stay tuned for the next episode.
Don't know why you're dancing, Manu. You're not on camera. Bye.
That's why I'm dancing.
No one can see.
Dancing! Now he's stripping. Now he's naked. Now he's on fire. What is happening? Oh my god.